Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too. If you are new, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play and checking out my channel. I hope you'll join us on this cross stitching journey, and I would love to know more about you. And if you're a returning stitching friend, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you listening to me talk about stitching, and I so enjoy you enabling me. So I would love to know what you're stitching on, or what else are you doing? Maybe something crafty, maybe some cooking, whatever you're doing while you're watching the video. Would love to know what's going on with you. I have a lot to talk about today. I am so excited. You can see that I decided to do the video from this angle. I'll probably go back and forth and just go in different angles and ways to do the videos, but I just thought it'd be fun to do this one today this way. The only thing that I have trouble with is figuring out the best way to put my notes, because I use a different type of camera holder, so I can't quite do my notes the same way. And if you could see all of the piles of stuff right here, you would know I definitely need notes, because there is no way I would remember any of that. Before we get going with the stitching, I do want to say, I guess we're sort of last call. If you are interested in the winter artist trading card swap, the, kind of loose deadline, but as best you can for shipping them to me is February 1st. So today is the 26th of January if you're watching it today. So we have a few more days. If you stitch something up fairly quick, if it's small and you can finish it, feel free to reach out if you don't have my address and send it in and be part of the swap. If you're not sure what a trading card is or what the swap is, I have a playlist that is listed as artist trading cards in my channel, and that will show you what they are. And my Flossmas #1 would give you the information for the winter swap. And if you're interested, but you just don't have the time, I'm hoping to have 2 more this year. So there's still more chances to join on in if you'd like to. And once they all come in, I cannot wait to do another video like I did last time, and I can show you all of the projects come in. They are super cute. You all are giving me so much inspiration that I just can't wait to share them, because I'm really, really loving what's coming in. So, alrighty, I guess let's just get started, because I have 2 starts. I have 3 finishes. One of them became a full finish, and then I have another different full finish. So I got a lot accomplished this week, I have to say. Jumping right in, I'm so excited about this first one. This is a stitching finish. In between, before I forget, I did participate in Bringo from Magazine Monthly Cross Stitch Challenge, so I may be talking about the prompts if I remember to connect them with the different projects. And I also did Whip Frenzy over the 24-hour of cross stitch weekend. I'll talk about that. I didn't plan quite as well as I should have, but I'll talk about that as we're going with the projects. I did not, even though Bringo is done, the combo of Bringo and Whip Frenzy, I didn't, like I said, I didn't account for it as well as I should have. So I'm not done with Bringo yet. I saved a few projects to show you next week instead. But what I do have is a finish. Ooh, I'm not even going to show you the original Serena sprout, because this is pretty close. There were a few different backstitch elements that I did not choose to add. There was a little bit of kind of backstitch fluff up here, which I didn't really think was necessary. And then a couple little bits by the wand area, which again, I wasn't really sure I wanted, so I kept it out. Serena Sprout, which is Autumn Lane Stitchery. If you've not seen her before, I started her, boy, it's probably been at least a good 1.5 years. I don't have the dates here in front of me. And she sat for a while. I started her after I finished Lady Halloween, because I wanted kind of another element like that. And which I can't believe Lady Halloween might be finished that long. But I'm super excited with how this turned out. I did use a background fabric that is similar to what Autumn Lane did the model on. I really liked it on the green that they chose, so I did go with the green myself. This one was an 18 count Honeydew Melon from To Die For Fabrics. Please, in the description box below, I talk about my fabrics, and I talk about right now To Die For being on a pause. So just take a look at that if you're thinking about fabrics or looking for some fabric resources. So love it, love it, love it. I was going to put this in Whip Frenzy actually, and I was stitching on it Saturday, and I had stitched on it I had stitched on it, that was the second time on Saturday, and I said, you know what, I'll throw in 100 stitches. But then as I got going, I said, I'm almost done. So why not just plow through? So that day I did. On Saturday, I stitched all the X's, and then I put it aside, and then the beginning of this week, I think I spent a couple days, because there's at least 3 different colors of 1, 2. Oh, I didn't do maybe there's only 2, because I didn't do the little bit by the, no, 3, because there's a little bit in the dress there. But was a few different colors of back stitching, mostly the black. But I just spread it out over a few days, and I knew I wanted to have it finished to show you. So I'm super, super excited about this. I'm pretty sure Serena will go in the scrapbook, but I love it. I'm excited to have it done. I did have a hashtag. It was hashtag Serena Sprout, S-A-L. Maybe I will kind of close the loop and show my finish on Instagram, since I am the world's worst Instagrammer. I create the hashtags. I just don't post on there and show the pictures with it. But there it is, all done. So exciting. Alrighty, I'm gonna put these, I think, over here. I have some little side tables to the side of me to try to put some of my supplies, and then I have my larger craft table, which if you had watched, I did a Flosstube extra on my IKEA craft table hack, so to speak. I took a few different pieces of IKEA, which was not my idea. I found it online, and I think I link it or I give info on that video, and Mo put it together for me. So I have this nice long counter height table, which I love using. All right, let's move on. So I think it was last video, I had finished January Snowdrop from Cottage Garden Samplings, that series. Let me see, what do they call it? Does it say here? I know somewhere it does say what it is, the Garden Journal series. And in essence, I was going to wait till each month to stitch each one, unless, of course, it was good for a prompt or something. But I just felt like bringing out February. So I did bring it out. And this one is February's Primrose. That's what it looks like. And my goal on this one, I think, because when I was looking for my notes to figure out what fabric it was, I love after a whip parade, I have all my notes, and that shows me all of the fabrics and everything. So it's great until I have a bunch of new starts, and then not everything's in there. But I saw a loose goal on that was to potentially get a 2024 finish, but I wouldn't beat myself up if I didn't get one. And that's where I am right now. I did not do any of the words. As you can see, I did do quite a bit of them, so I will leave those colors as is. If you're new, after looking through them, as I look through all my projects, you know, at the end of the year, beginning of this year, I realized that maybe I wanted to play around with some of the colors of the words, that I didn't like all of them. Plus, I didn't necessarily like the changing, excuse me, of colors. But since this one is almost stitched, I'm not going to bother doing any changes with it. I'll just keep going. I really don't have, I think I have 5 letters left, so that's fine. Instead, I concentrated on this element right here. I'm thinking that I don't want to bring this across necessarily until I have some kind of reference point. I like to do reference points. So after this, there's a crown, and then that's the end of the border, and then it'll work itself around. So I figured I would do a little bit of the flowers. This is done on an 18 count. It's an unnamed fabric, and it's from hand dyed from Rolanda. Super pretty. I like the color. I thought it'd be fun to do these in, you know, different colors, and the originals are all done on neutrals, as you can see, which is quite lovely. But you know me, I have to bring out my colors. So that's what it looks like. Whether I'll work on it this week, I don't know. I mean, February starts when does February start? Thursday next week. Can you believe that January is done? I really can't believe it. It just amazes me that we are on January 26th. I'm not sure what happened to the month. I was looking at, as I put my notes together too, I grabbed notes from a couple of previous videos, and I was looking at the first week of January one, and thinking, I can't believe we're already, because I look at my rotations, and I can't believe we're already a month almost through my first month's rotations. This next one, this was worked on twice for Bringo. You know what? Where's my iPad? See, that's the thing with this setup. Everything is a slightly different, so I just have to figure out where it is. Okay. I got the digital version of this, so let me show it to you this way. I've used this a couple times on Bringo because it fit a couple of the prompts. It fit a prompt for, and everybody is saying this, so one of the prompts was favorite designer, and I don't have one. But I currently have 3, well, now starting this week, I have 3 projects from Lila Studio going. So I figured, that's a good one. Plus this needs some work. So I used it for that prompt, and I also used it for a project with words. And as you can see, it has words there as well. The one thing is the angle there, so you're not seeing my neighbor's house in the screen. But that's what it looks like from the original. I've changed it quite a bit if you're new to my channel. And I went a completely different route, colors and fabric. So this is my full, you don't really need to see the full piece, but that's the full piece of fabric. I'm going to fold it over since we're still on this section here. This is done on an 18 count, let me look here, rose hips from Under the Sea Fabrics. That was a fabric of the month last year in 2023. And I am not sure, I haven't checked their Facebook page recently. I don't know which ones are making the taking out of just fabric of the month status and going into her, you could buy them anytime status from Under the Sea. So if you're interested in any of the colors that were fabric of the months last year, I would suggest you join her Facebook page and get more information that way. Along with changing the color of the fabric, you can see I changed the color of the flosses. So I went with greens. Spring is a time of rebirth. And so I wanted to do the green, thinking of all the green leaves and grass and all of that loveliness as the flowers bloom too. So that's what I ended up going with. And everything is just linked in the description box below if you are interested in the information. I did not sleep well last night, and I definitely am feeling it today. My brain is a little bit all over the place. So thank you for rolling with this kind of train of thought that's going on right now, because that definitely, explaining this definitely did not feel like it was rolling off of the tongue at all. So you are a trooper if you're sticking with me today. But that's what it looks like. And I'm a little frustrated, I'm not going to lie. This is set now to become the rotation piece for this week. So it will get 500. I'm aiming, unless I get truly frustrated with it, for another 500 stitches before it goes away. This element is all I've worked on this past week. And I gave it 2 Bringo sessions. And I didn't just do 100 stitches and, put it away. If I look, it got quite a bit. Let me see. Yeah, actually over 300 stitches, and I'm still stuck in this one little element. So that was a little disheartening and a little frustrating. They are so wonderful, but some of them are actually really big, and you don't realize how many stitches there are in them. So my goal is, I'm sticking with this at this point. I'm going to finish this, and then, I don't know, maybe I'll jump back up here and work up here, maybe do some more of the border. You'll see there is the space here. I'm going to change the colors of the bunny, but I want to wait till I get farther on this side when there's more bunnies, and I can kind of do it as a grouping. And I really honestly don't know what colors I'm doing yet. So I've kind of put that off for a future Laura problem. So you will see this again next week, and hopefully this element will be done and I'll have something else to show besides that. So I feel like I've accomplished something. But, it was nice with Bringo to get it out and get some stitches into it. If you are new, I'm doing a rotation of 4 pieces. Black Vintage Sampler from Owl Forest Embroidery, Summer Quaker from Lila Studio, Spring Quaker right here, and Fish and Ships, which I started this January 1st, and that was my new start. So this doesn't mean I'm not starting other new big projects. You'll see one next week because a new Stitch Along just started, but you know, that's all right. Okay, moving on. I did have, this is a new start for me. Oh no, you know what? We're gonna wait. And I meant to bring, I don't have it here. I think I already put it away. I meant to bring the big piece of the pattern. I stitched a tiny little piece of a pattern from Sugar Stitches, and you had seen me stitching it as a trading card. Well, I finished the stitching part, and I decided, you know what, let's just go for a full finish. And so I did. So that's what it looks like. You can see I cut it a little bit. The fabric's a little bit off on the side. I haven't filled out the back yet, but it's just a nice fun pink cardstock on the back. So this one with the stitching also has a bunch of other elements. And I bought these specifically knowing I wanted to do this as a trading card. Those are two little brads. They're like evergreen, snowy evergreen brads. And they come from, I believe it's Eyelet Studio. I don't think I can reach the drawer from here to show you for sure. Eyelet Outlet. It might be Eyelet Brads and Eyelet Outlet, something like that. But anyway, that's where I got those from. So I knew that was going there right there. So I put those in. And then I wanted to do snow. Now, last trading card you saw was felt. And this time I did want to try paper. So if I bring it up close, I don't know if you can see the different texture there. So what I ended up doing, and I brought them just to show you, because I'm not sure, for those of you who may not do a lot of paper crafting, when I say embossing, there are different types of embossing. And there are embossing folders that come in really, really handy if you want to emboss parts of something or a full background. I used to like it to do full backgrounds in cards. And I ended up actually using both of these, and I used them on my Cuttlebug. So this one comes from Cuttlebug. This one's probably, oh, it's Sizzix. So there's lots of different brands. Stampin' Up has some, a lot of people do. So anyway, what I did first was I did this one, and you can see how it's kind of a grungy kind of square sort of thing. And then I did this one with the lines. The snowflake folders that I have are bigger snowflakes, and this is a small section. So I wanted something to add texture to the paper. So you can do them singly, you can layer them on top of each other, and by layering, you get a little bit of both. I thought that was fun. So I did that, and I'd already attached the brads, so I had to kind of sneak the paper underneath the little, I don't know if you can see the little stems of the trees, and I glued that on. And then I thought, okay, it'd be kind of cool if I wanted to do snowflake brads, but the snowflake brads I have are big. I don't have any small ones. I don't know if there are small ones. And I said, well, what else could mimic snowflakes? So I actually had, and I don't know why I had them. I just periodically have picked up some small beads from Michael's. And so I had these white beads, and I said, you know what? I am going to put those on there. I am not much of a beader, really, to be honest with you, but I can handle this. And I used white sulky in between the beads, and I think it worked pretty well. So this was done on a 20 count fabric. It was a scrap, and it was with one strand of stitching. But I thought it was super cute. Now, my question is, the house itself, do you see how it has a little garland over it? Did I break my own rules? I did say it was a winter theme for this trading card swap, but to stick away from holidays. That's still, would you be okay getting that? If you got my name in a swap? I just want to make sure, because I don't want it to be obviously too holiday-ish, because that was not what the requirement. I thought it looked kind of wintry, and I thought it was kind of cute with the pink house, so that's why I went with it. So thoughts on that, if you're okay with getting that in the swap, or should I just hold it and wait until I do a swap that's more holiday-ish? Which I don't know. Not sure what plans I have for that. I have some ideas for the next two this year, but one was not a holiday one, so that would sit a while. So let me know on that. I can't even, and I'm a rule follower, I have to say, and I was finishing it up and I said, I think I might have just broken my own rule. All right, let's get going. So that was my full finish. So I've had a stitched finish, and then this one was a stitched finish and a full finish. Now we have a start. This I wanted to start this winter. I have stitched 2 of these, including this one right here, and Winter Blessings was next. These are Season's Blessings from Lila Studio. So this is Lila Studio again. And this is number 1. Number 2 has the other 2 seasons. So I loved the color of the model that was stitched here. And I went through my pinks, and the one I found was a little bit too light because you can see there's some white stitching there. So I wanted to make sure that would show up. And then I said, I can't find anything, so I'll go with a blue, I think I went with. And then I was stitching on, what was I stitching on? Love Boat Sampler. And that pink, the rest of that pink was, for whatever reason, in that bag. I don't know why. I should have put it back in my bin of fabrics over there. But I said, that's perfect. So I actually pulled that out, cut up a small little piece, and I got a small start on this. I did start this during Whip Frenzy. So Whip Frenzy is a event through the Whip Warriors Facebook group, which is currently closed, and it coincides, well, last year it always coincided just with the weekend of 24 Hours Cross Stitch. This year they did it almost a week long, but I only did it for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That was my frenzy time, and the goal is to get between 100 and 200 stitches on as many projects as possible. So that's what happened with that one. I didn't get a huge start, but I got almost 150. This is 18 count Lighthearted from Dying for Cross Stitch. It's a really pretty pink, actually, I have to say. So I'm liking that. That's what it looks like right there. So this one will definitely stay in a rotation, because I would like to get it finished and hopefully get it fully finished so it can hang. Right now I've just got Christmas themed ornaments that I took off my tree and put up there, but I would like to finish it and hang it up there through the winter and possibly spring while I stitch the spring one. That's okay. All right, so full coverage. My full coverage, I changed the rotation. I put away Minnie Watching the World Go By, and I pulled out, whoops, let's see here, where is she? I pulled out Minnie Paris Morning, and it worked out perfectly because I had finished the rotation of Watching the World Go By on Thursday, and I did no full coverage on Friday. Generally, I have trouble adding that in because with filming and everything, it takes longer and I don't get as much stitching time in. Well, Saturday, the prompt was for Bringo was for something that reminded you of your pet. Well, for those of you who've been with me a while, we lost my Shamrock. Oh, it'll be 2 years this spring, but this is totally my little Shamrock, from the coloring, the size, and the begging for the food, to be honest with you. He did love to beg for food. And he was sorely disappointed most of the time. But this is a chart that was charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, and it is artwork by Uliana Babenko. And I love it. Speaking of animals, and for those animals who have passed the Rainbow Bridge, I don't know if anybody saw the, I think it was Silver Creek Samplers. I was scrolling Instagram this morning, and I believe, don't quote me, but I'm almost sure it kind of looks like the style of Silver Creek. She showed just a picture of a market release, and she showed the rainbow, and she did make a comment about, for those of you whose pets have crossed the Rainbow Bridge, I've got something new coming for you for market. So you know, and I've kind of learned that I don't necessarily need to pre-order many things, but you know that one, because I sorely miss Shamrock every single day to this day. So that will be a stitch that I most definitely have to do, and sooner rather than later. But anyway, this is this. So I'm going to show you how, so this is the size of the piece. It's a mini, so it's not the most gigantic of Heaven and Earth, but I mean, let's be real, it's still going to take me quite some time. So that's what it is in full. But I concentrated on this side, actually. I decided I wanted to stitch pink because one of the things I love about it is all the bright colors and the pinks. So I decided that This one is almost done. There's a few stray pieces of confetti here and there, but for the most part, right over here, as we get down towards that part, it's done. Well, I said, well, let's come on over here and work on this one instead. I don't have a rhyme or reason for full coverage. I just kind of stitch where the needle goes, and I stitch in hand. So it doesn't really, it's not a factor that where it is in the hoop or the Q-snap or anything like that. But that's where I am. And I did quite a bit of this actually. I probably got in between 500-600 stitches, and that would have been in this area right here. My full coverages are done on 18 count, white Aida, 2 strands over 1 full cross. So I am enjoying kind of filling in as we go here with this. So I have a feeling, although I said that last time when you saw the first time around with Minnie watching the world go by, and then I completely changed where I went. But I have all the pinks out, so I have a feeling I will just stay with all the pinks. Why have to pull out a whole nother set of colors? Because obviously we can go with some more of the greens over here with the greenery and the leaves up top, and then of course there's quite a bit of sky, and then down here starts to be clouds. But I think I'll just stick with this for now and just go with that. So hopefully we will get, I would really like to kind of get that whole big chunk filled in before I see you next time. I do try to do the 10 days / 1,000 stitches, and I keep more to the 10 days with a minimum of 1,000. Excuse me for 1 minute. My glasses have something on them, and I'm looking at something and not being able to see you very well. But I try to do at least 1,000 stitches in 10 days. So 100 stitches a day is kind of my goal, and that's 10 stitching days as opposed to 10 calendar days, because for example, if I skip today, then I would just have to go an extra day type of thing. So I had started this, when did I start it? On Saturday. So it will definitely through next week. I don't think I'll be starting any others unless one strikes my fancy, or if it would fill a prompt for one of the stitching games or something. So we'll see. Alrighty, moving on. This was my New Year, New Start, and I said, well, this is an easy one for Whip Frenzy, right? I mean, it's easy to get 100 to 200 stitches. I'm doing it monochromatically, so it's just the one thing of thread that I'm working on, so why not? So this is Long Dog Samplers, Fish and Chips. I recently saw, and you know what? I'm going to put her name down, Mama Bear Stitchery. I was just watching, or no, I was... she was also on Instagram this morning, and she just got another page finish on this, and it's beautiful. And I'll link her Flosstube down below so that you get a chance to see her progress on it. She's started it, I think, well, yeah, it must have been, it was last year. So she's, I think, a good 3 or 4 pages done. So she's got quite a bit done, but that's where I am right there. So look at this fabric. Isn't this pretty? This ended up, and this was a journey finding the fabric that I really wanted. This is from Dying for Cross Stitch. That's the label right there. And this one, and I keep saying I'm going to check, and I keep forgetting to email her, because if I go on the site, you know, then I'm going to start looking at all the new fabrics, all the fabrics, and say, what can I buy? And I got some other fabrics from a long overdue order, so just recently, so I don't really need anymore. But this one was a Black Friday pack, and it was a pack of 3 blues and greens, and I didn't know what I was getting, but it was blues and greens, right? And when it came in, I said, oh, this could definitely be good for fish and chips. I am using DMC Floche, 1 strand on the 18 count. And it just comes 1-stranded, so I don't have to take anything, you know, separate anything or whatever. And I am starting to learn what's a good length for me for 1 strand, because I'm mostly, even with 18 count, I'm almost always a 2-strand stitcher because I absolutely love it. But the Floche is a little bit thicker, so I don't know if it's an exact, basically equal to 2 strands exactly, or what the designation is, but I really like it. So that's where I am, and I have got this fish finished, and we started the next one. This element right here is all done, and I am stitching. I know there are a few different people stitching this that are not stitching the outside border. Great idea, because when it comes time to, I mean, this is going to be too big for the scrapbook, so I don't know what's happening to it exactly, but it'll be a bit of a bear you know, because of the straight lines all the way across. But you know what? I'll worry about that later. But if you'd like to see others stitching it, Megan, Georgia Girl Stitching, is stitching this. And Amy from Renewing Stitches is also stitching this. So let me write down Megan and Amy's names. And they are both choosing not to stitch that outer border. So you can see it, what it looks like. If you're interested to see just with the dotted border, what it would look like. Both of them have examples. They've both gotten a ways with it. And Amy is doing it on a white fabric, I think, with a variegated-ish blend of, it's two different colors, right, blended together. And then Megan is doing it on the darker fabric. I'm 99% sure on that. So you can see a couple different ways and options and everything else with it. So that's what it looks like. And this one, no, it's not this coming week. So this week is Spring Quaker for the rotation. So this one would be the following week when it would go back into the rotation for the 500 stitches. But I find that one is so nice because it is just the floche and the one strand, that I have a tendency sometimes just to pull it out when I just want something that's not a lot of extra bits and parts and everything. You just kind of go, you pick a spot and you go. So I could easily see me pulling that out on any given week. So be prepared. I have a feeling it's not just going to be once a month that you see that one. The iPad's playing games with me here. Okay. So this next one was also, it's part of Whip Frenzy. And then I may end up re-pulling it out for the last week, this coming last week of the month for categories. We'll see. So this is the full 3-pack that you would get. These are, I call them winter gnomes. And they are from Wonder Stitch UA. I am stitching this very last gnome here on the corner. Let's go this way and let's lift that up like that so that you can see it a little bit fuller. So that's what it looks like. I'm not stitching that background square or the grounding circle. I'm stitching it instead on a fabric that would take the place of that. And I looked at, when I looked at to see what the fabric was on this, I did see my notes, and the goal on this one really is to get the top half done. There's way more stitching than you think there is. This is also being stitched by Georgia Girl Stitching. So if you want to see her version of it, she's got a beautiful version of it as well. And this is mine. This is done on an 18 count Opal Hourglass Nebula, and it's from Fortnight Fabrics. So I don't know if the Opal is showing up in person. It really does sparkle in real life, so it's really kind of cool. I thought Opal would be fun for a winter piece because it's kind of got that glittery, you know, background for kind of snowy. So if you were to look at this, you know, if you don't know where to look, you might not realize, but this is, there's a lot of stitching here. These hats for the gnomes take up half of the piece. And I mean, you can see it's going to come all the way down here. But this takes up a lot. And they use, it's all done in DMCs, but they use quite a few different colors to get those different elements to pop. I'm not quite done with the flower. I have a little bit on the inside, but it's just so pretty how it almost jumps out, you know, to me, and looks three-dimensional. And I think it's because of all the layering of colors that they do. So if I pick this up again this coming week, because I'm thinking this would be good for seasons, right? This month is W and winter. That's almost like a gimme. I almost feel like I have to do that. I'm going to continue with the hat here. I don't think just giving it time this week for categories would get that part finished, but I would like to see a bit more chunk of that done, and then we work our way down, and there's a layer here, and then the nose starts, and that would be fun to get done too if I could, but not this week, just as a goal for the year. So that's what it looks like. And yeah, I'm thinking about all the things you may see next week, and I've already got my whole week's stitching planned out. And I'm not one that, you know, except for games like this and stuff, I'm usually a let's just flip through in the morning and see what I want to stitch kind of person. Continuing along on Whip Frenzy here. So I ended up with 9 different projects for Whip Frenzy. Now, what I didn't do right, and this is a lesson for me, and if Magazine Monthly Challenge, Cross Stitch Challenge group does Bringo next year, and Whip Warriors does Whip Frenzy, and they coincide in that January weekend. Please remind me to look at what's left in Bringo and stitch those first. So I didn't do that. I was just picking projects. I said, oh, let's do 100 stitches in this, let's do 100 stitches in that, blah, blah, blah. And then by the time I got to Monday, I said, I've already got 12 or 13 projects to show you. There's no way I'm going to continue. I'd have 16 or 17 things to show you by the end of the video. So starting on Monday, except for when Spring Quaker came up again, because that had already been stitched, I think I have 3 pieces, 1, 2, 3. I have 3 pieces that I did not work on this week, but Bringo goes through the end of the month, and I'm not doing it for prizes anyway. So obviously it's a little bit more lenient for me. So I did not plan that well. I was just kind of going along. And then Sunday, late in the day on Sunday, I said, oh, oh boy, that's a lot of projects. So anyway, this was pulled out not for snow stitch because we did not get snow this week. In fact, we've warmed up only briefly. Yesterday was in the 60s and today will be in the 60s. And then we plummet back down to freezing temperatures by the middle of next week. So it's like a little teaser. And then it goes away, which I wish it wouldn't go away. But anyway, Signs Series Summer, otherwise known in my world as Summer Signs by Twin Peak Primitives. And they don't have a head yet. The people don't have heads yet. There is, I had every good intention of stitching all the way up, getting all the way up through their head on both the adult and the child. And nope. There's a ton of color changes there. So you have a top collar and the arm collars, and then there's the arms themselves. And I was getting tired of changing. So what I ended up doing was filling in more yellow for the rest of my frenzy time. Because obviously these fill-ins, and they're going to get bigger. That's a lot of extra stitches. So I figure, you know, I'm talked myself into skipping all the fiddly stuff and going with that just because in the interest of getting it done. This is done on an 18 count caramel macchiato from Fabrics by Stephanie, and I think that's the color. It's a little bit brighter in person. I'm wondering if this angle doesn't show the lights coming straight at me, or the windows right in front of me, versus the windows generally on this kind of to the side of me, not exactly to the side, but to the side. So I'm wondering if the light's coming in different and showing things differently. I will look at these on the video and make some decisions that way too. And maybe it depends on what the outdoors looks like, whether or not I do videos on this side. But that's what it looks like. And I don't think we have snow in the forecast. Well, we certainly wouldn't right now because, like I said, 60 degrees. But we have been raining. But right now the sun is coming out. So fingers crossed we get a little bit of sunshine. Maybe I could do a little bit of beach stitching this afternoon. That would be a lot of fun. Alrighty. This one, again, no rhyme or reason, but I just pulled it out for Whip Frenzy, and I didn't need to. I should have pulled out one of those other ones that was going to be in Bringo. But you know what? It's fun, and I would like to get... I gave myself really modest goals on this one for this year with the idea that I'd finish it in 2025. But, you know, why not give it a try and give it a go? I think for this year, I wanted to have the reindeer finished and have all of the bordering done. And then literally just have this bottom section, which even though there looks like a lot there, it's chunk kind of stitching with the colors. And then down here, I'm not putting the words in. This is going to be just straight white stitching. So I did work on the reindeer, actually. I decided I wanted to give them... So this is what it looks like as a whole. And if I fold it over so we just see the reindeer. Whoops. That's what I stitched on. And so they both have heads in the start of their bodies. We still have antlers up here to go. But again, before I did any more border, I wanted to do the elements inside. So this right here is going to give me the element of, that's how far it's going to go. So it's not, you can see, it's not, it looks wider on the picture, because really that's as far as it is. You have the border, let me bend this over. You've got the border that just comes right around here and goes right next to the reindeer right there. It comes very close to their bent knee. and I have that almost fully stitched. So really, in essence, it's not going to be a super big piece. And this is the bottom. This is done on an 18 count Chinchilla. This was a second fabric that I did it on. The first one I tried an Opal, but I wasn't really loving the color, and I was having to change a lot of the DMCs. I did change the color of Santa's face. I did change that out. Generally, I have that information in the description box below. And other than that, I don't believe I've changed really any of the colors. But I am, like I said, changing out and not doing the words at all. So it's fun. I like stitching it. And it's right now I'm in the block colors, right? With the reindeer. So I could see pulling that one out again. I'll have to see. I could have used this. I could use this for winter as well too. So if I wanted to do this one instead of the gnome, because obviously here it's winter where Santa is is flying. So that might be a possibility. Okay, we have another finish. And you know, it's so funny. This one, I don't think I stitched it all last year, to be honest with you. And I wasn't sure I was going to keep stitching it. And, you know, change of perspective and just kind of growing in, you know, my time back to stitching, because I was stitching and then I took all that time off, and coming back, I had to relearn everything and learn what works for me this time around. And so this Marilyn Blue Crab was a kit by Artist Designs, and I did buy it as a kit when it came out. And I wasn't sure it was ever going to get finished. In fact, even with my notes for the whip parade, I said I'm either going to try to finish it or decide what's happening with it. And then I was also not sure how much of the extra I was going to stitch, because this came with kit silk. And I was a little worried about my usage, but it's fine. I had plenty to do the entire piece. Make sure I've got it. Yes. I want to make sure I'm not showing it upside down. But there it is right there. This was an 18 count kit fabric, so it came with the kit, and I used the silk. And I looked, so the kit is still available. The backing fabric that was used for this is different because it's shown as a pillow, and you can't get that fabric anymore, but there is a different fabric. And they said that the silk is, you get it. So for example, here, let me show you. This came like this. So I assume it would be the same thing. And on the kit, it says that the silk is from Silks for You, from Silks for You. So I assume she got a certain amount and then cuts it down. I don't know if this was dyed by her or if this was also Silks for You. It doesn't say on the original packaging for the actual. So this is super cute, and I like it. I'm thinking it might be a really neat little summer ornament sort of thing. So I'm thinking of, you know, probably cutting it fairly close, because you do have that border, and then going from there and making it a little ornament. That could be one of my 55 full finishes. We'll see. I already have, so I had one extra this week with the trading card, and after this stitch that I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you the next full finish. So this was the rotational stitch for this week, Summer Quaker. I worked on it last week for Bringo, but I kept it out because I said I want to get 500 more stitches in it. So this month it got almost 1,000 stitches, I think, which I'm super excited about. So let me show you as a whole first. Oh, that's what it looks like. Oh, isn't that pretty? I love this fabric. This is Nantucket Sky from Fabrics by Stephanie. And I know you've guessed it, it's 18 count. So let me just go up top here, because that is really the focus. I kept going with these elements over here, and then I just did some more, actually, let me do this, of the inner border, the seaweed inner border. I think that's seaweed. So I figured out a kind of a way to stitch it that makes sense for, I was making it more difficult because you've got the outer edge and then you got these pieces, and I was just making it way more difficult than it needed to be. So I kind of got into a rhythm. So I could see, I mean, I'm almost to the edge here, then it works its way down, which will be a different rhythm. But then when I get to the bottom again, do I have any of that started yet? No, all I have down here is just a little line. But when I get to that bottom part again, I think the rhythm will go a lot better. But yeah, so we have all of this all finished. So we're just going to keep, I think, so at this point now we have a bigger element Quaker right here. But then we have small ones on this side. So that'll be a nice balance. What I might do next time I pick it up, besides doing more of the border, because I like I said, I've got a rhythm going. I'll start this big Quaker right here. And then over here, I will start with, there is kind of a compassy sort of thing. No, it doesn't have north-south. It just looks like it. It's a tiny element over here. And then the letter E. So I think some people have not stitched those. The letters to spell out summer are sprinkled throughout here. I think I've seen some people say they did not stitch those. Now, whether or not they just kept those elements empty, or, I mean, there's plenty of things to choose to throw in those little empty spots. So that's maybe what they did. But I had started them. I'm fine with it. I don't have a problem with it. So I've just kept going with those. So this is the area you'll see again. And then I'll just keep working my way. I think it's looking like I'm going to be doing the outer edges all first and then working the middle last, which is fine. I'm enjoying this part. And then I'll build that middle scene, which is pretty. I remember seeing this. I definitely thought it with the spring Quaker. In fact, I thought it first with the spring Quaker because I wasn't loving the browns around all the edges. And I said that middle section would be gorgeous just as is, right? And then I saw the summer one when it came out, and I said the very same thing. But this one, all the other colors and the elements of summer really got to me. So I said, let's do the whole thing and see what happens from there. But I could really see just doing that center. And then once I decided to change the colors on spring Quaker, I was all in. And now, you know, we've got to complete the set whenever it comes out, right? So now I have a full finish for you. So if I look at my book, this will be full finish number, it might be number 4. Yep, so this will be full finish 4 for 2024. And you know I'm doing 55 for my 55th birthday. Well, I turned 55 in October. I'm giving myself the whole year. I'm not trying to do it by my birthday itself. And if I look here with my finishes, where is it in my book? I actually have 6 finishes so far this year. So I feel like that's pretty good. I'm still running with more finishes than starts. That's not going to keep because I'm running out of things to finish that are close to a finish. So, and I'm starting more and more things. So, you know, that's okay. But I did a scrapbook page and I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is a very different looking piece from the original. So this is for a friend from Hello from Liz Matthews. And besides the fact that these two are stitched, I ended up stitching them separately because I messed up the borders. And so it was going to get super tight. And I can't lay claim to this idea, but somebody had said in the comments, well, why don't you layer that piece on the other piece? And how brilliant is that? There's also another extensive border around this, just simple border, and I didn't want to stitch it. So this is going in my 9x7 scrapbook. And so what I did is both pieces have interfacing on the back of them. And I ended up, and you're not gonna be able to see because it's not popped up enough, but I just took some black cardstock and I cut it, you know, whatever size, probably about whatever the size of this inner border is. And I layered them up and placed it here. Now, originally I had 5 little rectangles of black cardstock and it was too high up. There's such a thing as too much dimension. So I ended up taking 2 out in the end. So there's 3 layers of black cardstock there. And then that's just layered right onto this piece right here. And so it's inset very similar to what the stitched part is, but I just thought this is so much fun. And then, you know, the base is a green that I kind of pulled out the greens with. And then these are it's just cardstock strips. And originally I was going to do them both the same size, but I was finding to cut this one down to the size of this one it was going to be difficult with my paper cutter. I use a guillotine cutter. And I said, well, I have this extra space. What if I offset it with 2 different sizes? And so that's what I did. And I put the bigger one on the base and the smaller one up at the top. And I thought the color of the cardstock matches the floss really nicely. So here we have a scrapbook piece. So for those of you, I periodically will, when I talk about scrapbooking my pieces, people will generally say, can I see some? I double checked in my Flossmas number 2. So December of 2023, Flossmas number 2 is a complete flip through of all of my scrapbook pages that were up to that date. This is the first scrapbook page, I believe. Let me see in my full finishes, because in my full finish notes, yes, I've done 2 trading cards, an ornament, and now a scrapbook page. So this is the first one of 2024. So this is the only one that was not in the flip through that you're getting to see now. So I'm not sure. I guess I'll keep track this year and maybe just show those ones as if I hate to reflip through the flip throughs, but these will just get integrated seamlessly. I'm not sure where this one will go in the book. So it's not like I'm putting them in the book as I chronologically finish them. If they're seasonal, I've kind of set it up kind of through the year, winter through, January through December, kind of the scenes and the themes. So I don't know where this one will go. Given that it's fall colors, maybe I'll put it in the autumn section. Or I just do after Christmas, say for example, in the end of the year, I just do stitches that don't really match anything else. We'll see. I don't have enough finishes yet to figure that out. But there we go. I'm loving this. Thank you whoever came up with that suggestion of the dimension. And originally I was going to just glue the stitch piece with the interfacing right onto the other stitch piece. But the extra little dimension I really like. And so when you look at it, it does pop up at you on the page. And it's not too thick that it won't fit in the page protector. So that's my second full finish of the week and my 4th for the year. So super excited. And then I have one last piece to show you. This was the start. Amy from Renewing Stitches, hi Amy, started a stitch along this past week using, so the guidelines were originally to use a Cottage Garden songbird, right? There's 12 in the series. And she has the hashtag, do you want to stitch a songbird? So I said, oh, I'm going to jump in. I want to do that. And I looked through my stitches. Now I have the songbird, the one with the little pumpkin and all that. I have that slated to be part of my pumpkin birthday stitch along in October. So I didn't want to do that one. So I pulled this one out and it didn't say songbird anywhere, but I'm like, it's a bird. There's words. It's a songbird. It's not. But when I was watching Amy on Tuesday, she puts out videos every Tuesday if you're interested. She, in her wisdom, probably knew people like me would totally mess up, but she had said any cottage garden bird because all birds are songbirds, right? So technically this is not from the songbook series. I now realize that I need to go shopping for some because I thought I had more. And I only have that one that's, I don't know what it says, but it's the one with the pumpkin. It's the autumn one. And there's so many that are really cool. And I've seen so many of you stitch them. Oh, and if you watch Kim, the Contented Needleworker Kim, let me write down Kim's name. So she showed it on Instagram. And she's just stitched it for this stitch along. So it's not on her. I can't wait till the next Flosstube because I'm sure she's going to show it. First she picked a brilliant piece of fabric color to stitch the bird part. And she just did the bird, and how she's finished it, it's amazing. I cannot wait, Kim, until you show that on your Flosstube and you talk about it because it looks so cool. But anyway, here's one that I thought was a songbird. It's not. It's Peace on Earth, Cottage Garden. And that was the one I started. And I started it, and I said, wait a minute. Or you know what I did? I said, let me look, and I just Googled Cottage Garden songbirds and looked at the series. And there was no Peace on Earth. But, I already had the fabric chosen. I already had started it, and it was just going to go. So that's where I am. As you can see, not a lot started. But my concern, I really wanted to do, and I liked the model. That's probably more grayish. But I liked the model, and I said, let's do kind of a green, because I think that would look nice. And the darker greens will look really nice. My concern, of course, was would the white show up? And as you can see, the white shows up just fine. And in person, it shows up. It's so funny how on the camera, things sometimes look lighter. But in person, it really pops off of the page. So I'm really liking that. I am using the DMC Choices There's one green, I think the variegated version, or the overdyed version, I should say, is called Avocado, if I'm not mistaken. And that version, the DMC alternative that Cottage Garden usually gives for it, because they do like to use that avocado, I'm not always a fan of, especially depending on the fabric I use. So that might be a change, but I'm thinking everything else will be as called. Once I get to the bird, I'll see what the DMCs are for the cardinal, and I'll decide if I want to keep those. So that is my hashtag, do you want to stitch a songbird? Without it being actually one of the 12 songbirds. Sorry, Amy. But she did add that. If you listen, she did say in her video that it could be any Cottage Garden bird. So I don't know, for some reason this is here and not with the pattern, with my stitch. I'm not sure why. So that's all of my stitching. Because of the 2 events, got so much stitched and touched. And like I said, I have 3 more pieces that have to be stitched for Bringo, and I'm going to finish up. Let's go right into plans here. So those 3 are already 3 that I know that I'll be stitching this week, and then I'm going to try to finish categories. Just green tea this morning, nothing fancy, but there's 1 or 2. I'm dangerously close to not finishing the acrostic from Crafts and Books. I have 2 letters that I don't have done, but, and I'm behind in posting pictures. I can do it in my book really nicely, but then having to take pictures and remember to do all that sometimes is what is my downfall. If I was just doing it without joining in on the Facebook groups, it'd be a lot easier. So we'll see. There are penalty stitches if I can't think of something to go with a pattern. So that may be what happens. We'll see. And then start planning for, well, she's had it for a good week. I haven't even looked at it yet, though, because I had Bringo and Whip Frenzy. But Magazine Monthly Cross Stitch Challenge has already put out their acrostic. They've already told you what it is for next month. And then I generally do categories each month, but you won't find out until the last day of this month what the letter is. So you really can't plan on that one until you get the letter. So we'll see on that. And then we'll go from there. There are some starts that I do want to make. I do want to do that Aston Villa stitch. So I need to find the blue fabric, a blue fabric that would match the whole claret and blue, because I want that to be my background really. And then just stitch the other stuff. So that's my hunt. But I mean, it's not like I'm hurting in blues. There's got to be one that's the blue that matches the uniform. So we'll see. But those are kind of some of the plans. Oh, nope, almost forgot. See, here we go. I need to go back to my stitch along, and I want to show you the piece. So last night, and I did join the Zoom and I did do some stitching, but I want to wait because I want to give it its full due, but I do want to tell you about it in case you'd like to join in. The hashtag 2024 Quaker Flag Sal, S-A-L. And where is it? So Vivsters, which is a designer on Etsy, has done, I think there's up to 57 flags. People are requesting flags of countries that they would be interested in stitching, and Vivian has very graciously, she started with just 3 flags in her shop, and she now has 57 options for people, because every time somebody asks for one, she very graciously creates one. So I wanted to do the US flag, and originally in Vivian's shop, it was a square, and I asked her, could we have it a rectangle similar to what all the other ones were? And she very quickly said, no problem, and she created it, and she even offered for anybody who had bought the square to come back to her, and she would send them the rectangle for free. But there was a Zoom last night, so the Stitch Along is being hosted by Gail from Wombat Hollow Crafts and Nicole from Divanely Design Studio. I'll get, by the end of the Stitch Along, I'll get that right. And then obviously Vivsters on Etsy. And so Gail and Nicole are doing Zooms to kind of, they did one, they're doing 2 this weekend to kick off the Stitch Along. The next one is 4 a.m. my time, so that won't work. But it was 6 p.m. my time and it was, you know, their time, the 26th already. So I was able to jump on, and Vivian was actually on there as well. So she got a chance to talk about her process of how she does the flags from, you know, the example of the flag, and then how she does the charting and everything else. So that was really neat. And it was fun meeting people, and they're going to have, at least for 6 months, they're going to try to do monthly stitch along Zooms. So if you are interested and you're stitching it, I would suggest you go to Instagram, I think is the easiest way, or their Flosstubes, both Nicole and Gail, by those two names, and I'll list the information down below. And whatever their @ name is, that's their Flosstube. If you go to their videos or their Instagrams, you'll get all the information about it. But next week, I get to show you my start. I love the fabric I chose. I think it's going to work really well, and I am super excited to stitch this. It's big. It's 400, I think, by 220. So you know, like I needed another big piece, but that is super exciting, and I am so, I've been waiting all month for this one to start. So I know that I have seen Stitching Mommy. Let me write her down. She is starting it. I don't know if she's actually started it. I'm trying to think, because I know she talked about it on her Flosstube. But do you know, you see so many after a while that you kind of forget. And then Rachel Q Stitches, I saw on Instagram that she talked about wanting to start it. Rachel has a Flosstube, but she is super, super, super busy. So her Flosstubes are a little bit longer in coming. I think they maybe once a month now. So Rachel, start that, and then we need to see your stitching. So those are two that I know for sure. And then Amy, are you stitching it? I can't remember if Amy said she was stitching it or not. If she is, I will try to list when I talk about it, and I put the information in the description box. I'll try to list other people who are stitching it as well, so that if you want to see their versions, whether it's other people's, obviously Gail and Nicole are doing Australia. And then there's, like I said, you can get to see all the different flags. It's really kind of cool, and what fabric people choose and all of that other stuff. And I know some people on the Zoom talked about, for example, their grandparents or parents maybe from a different country, so they want to stitch that, you know, for them and everything else. So you could really go crazy with it. But I enjoyed the first, I got a lot done in that Zoom period. I have to say, I think it's going to be a really fun stitch, to be honest with you. So that is also part of the plans, and I cannot wait next week to show you that. So it's kind of, next week's video is already writing itself, to be honest with you. I think we're already up to 8 or 9 pieces. I'll be showing you next week. But that's it. That's enough for plans, right? I did get one lovely piece of Happy Mail. Well, I've been getting trading cards coming in. So that's Happy Mail almost every day. I love it. I love seeing all of your creations. But I was sent with a trading card. I was sent this lovely pattern, and it is from Plum Street, and it's part of the Cereal Bowl collection, lesson 1 of the sampler lessons. And I think it's super cute. And actually, they very nicely sent me some of the floss too. As you know, I'm a DMC stitcher. I think I'm going to break up parts of it. I love this house. I think that house is so cool. And I do like the tree. So I'm wondering if I take her out and I have the house with the tree on either side, and I don't, then of course the words would be different, and I don't need to put ABC because that wouldn't be, but I think that would be a nice little lovely piece. So that's fun. The house is really cool. I really like that house. So that might be something you see in the future as well. So thank you for that. That was really nice of you to think of me and to send that along. Alrighty. What are we at here? Shopping. So I have an order of fabrics that came in. So back on November 1st, I said, I need fabric for, what do I need it for? Fish and chips. And I still hadn't come up with the idea of what I wanted. Black Friday hadn't happened yet, so I didn't have that dying for cross stitch. So on November 1st, I placed an order with Bestitch Me. I adore Bestitch Me fabrics. They are some of the most beautiful colors, and they're, for stitching in hand as I do, it's wonderful Aida. It's just that sweet spot between being too stiff and too soft. But custom ordering from her, that's the one downside. So I've learned my lesson. I thought because November 1st, by January 1st, I might have it. But you definitely have to build in, I would say build in 3.5 months if you're specifically getting fabric for a project. But what I did do, which I thought ahead, was I said, well, there's some colors that I like, and so I'm going to buy that so I have it. And that way I don't have to worry about the custom order, because I'll already have it. Because some of her colors are just, they're the most amazing colors in the world. She does such a fabulous job with the dyeing. So Rainy Day, which you have seen me stitching, that's what Black Vintage Sampler is on. So I got another piece of Rainy Day because this is beautiful. I love this color. It is so cool. And I can totally see, I'm thinking about some things that could go on it and look really neat. So we had to have that. That was a must. And then this one, I think I've had it before, but I want to say it might have been more gray. This is a bit, it's funny. It's one of those, it reminds me of, there's a picture of this plus that depending on the light can be purple or gray. And it's escaping me right now. I stitched the Halloween ABCs on it. Shale? I think it's shale. Anyway, this is called Ice Queen, and that reminds me of it. So it depending on the light, I think it skews more purple, and it's certainly looking more purple there. But depending on the light, you can also get a kind of a gray. I think it's really cool. I'm wondering if I can do, I was thinking, could I do the castle from Cottage Garden on this? But those colors are pretty dark. I think I'd want a lighter purple because I talked about doing it on a purple. I'll have to do a floss toss, but I think this might be a bit too dark. And then these two I bought as options for actually doing fish and chips. One of them I think would have worked quite nicely in the end, but I really like the dyeing for cross stitch piece. So, you know, I'm all set. This one's called Night Sky. So I went with kind of blues that, you know, I thought, okay, could be kind of oceany blue. This is the darker of the two. And it's beautiful. I'm not a huge fancy lady stitcher. I've only done the one Nora Corbett, but I bet you there's a fancy lady that would look beautiful on this. It is a gorgeous one. So that was called Night Sky. And I could see using this one, although it would be a little bit darker than what I saw in my head. Now this one is brighter than what I ultimately did end up using. This one's called Ocean Blue. And I want to say, Angie, are you stitching this? So Angie is part of a team of Flosstubers. Angie and Sally are the 1823, let me write down Angie's name, stitchers. And they are both stitching this. And Angie, are you using this Ocean Blue? I think you're not using 18 count, I don't think. But something along these lines is what Angie's using, and it's beautiful. But this one I could have seen fish and chips going on this one. So if you're thinking of stitching in the future, this might be an option for you. Maybe you don't love the color as much as I do, but you know me and blues, right? I love my blues. This won't go to waste. None of them will go to waste. But they are really lovely, and I think the white floche would pop so nicely on this one. So I'll have to see if there's another one that I could do something like that and do it on this piece. So they are gorgeous, gorgeous fabrics. And I was hoping 2 months would be enough because I have run into this before with Stitch Me. But I mean, seriously, look at these beautiful colors. I can't wait. Can't wait to use them. Then the only other thing I bought was for my planner. So I have my little planner here that I use for challenges and games. And I will show you how I did next video because that will be February 2nd, I believe, on all of the different challenges. But I did buy, so I have the alcohol ink markers, and I was told do not use them in, basically these are like bullet journals, right? Because the alcohol ink will go right through. The pages are not designed to take that kind of marker, which is not surprising because, you know, when I'd use them to color in for cards, and that's heavier card stock, and sometimes it would come through. So one of the things suggested was these are water-based inks, and a lot of people I see use these. These are Tombos. I used to use these, and they ended up not making the trip down here to Delaware, unfortunately. But they're a little pricey, I have to say. So what I did is I keep a watch on Amazon. Amazon and Michael's full price are the same price. But this one was almost 50% off this color palette. This one is pastels. There's a whole bunch of color palettes. And so what I'm going to periodically do, because all the other ones were the full price, but this one for some reason was half price or almost half price. I am going to keep watch and every once in a while go on there and click on some of the other ones, because if this one went on sale, maybe some of the other ones will too. Maybe they have too many of a certain set and they want to get rid of them. I could use the Michael's coupon, but they're generally 20% off. Every once in a while you get 30% off. This was actually a better deal on Amazon. But if there was colors that I really wanted, that's the way to do it. You can get single colors at Michael's, but I just worry about how long they've been sitting there and how much ink is left in them. So I've been hesitant to do that. These are by far not the only markers, but I do remember Tombows. They're dual tipped. They, they have a brush as well as a different tip, and I remember liking them. So I'll slowly build those up. But I did use them in this month already, so that will be something I'll show you next week. And once I get that kind of finished and decorated, and I have to think about then putting in the information for some of the February challenges. So that's fun. That was it for shopping. For giveaway, so I did not do a giveaway for this week because I hit 5,000 subscribers. Thank you all for the well wishes, as well as my 200th video. And I was hoping to potentially do it. So I'm going to do 5 giveaways for 5,000. But we had some family issues come up that we needed to support the family member and members. So that kind of, I didn't do the planning properly for that. And, I'm sure you all understand, right? It's not my story to tell at this point or anything like that, but that came first. And I was thinking about it last night. I said, darn, I didn't, kind of figure that out. But I know you all are understanding and can understand that life comes up. So and it's 5 giveaways I'm doing. So if we skip a week or 2, it's not the end of the world. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully this could be there will be some things that we need to support this coming week as well. So depending on how I get my act together, hopefully maybe next week, or we might have to wait one more week, depending. Hopefully though, after this week, there'll be good news and everything else. And then we can kind of move into a more new normal with that family member. But anyway, that's it with that. But thank you. Thank you for being patient with me. And Joanne, I did not get to the post office with your pattern, because that just was one thing too that fell by the wayside this week with that. So I've got it already set and ready to create the label. So it will be coming to you, I promise. Alrighty, that is it for all of the stitching stuff. So thank you so much. If you are still here, life, there's not a ton to talk about life. It got cold, then it got warm, but it was rainy. So it's slowly gotten a little bit nicer, but yesterday was one of those rainy, cloudy, I think it was 60. Mo had a doctor's appointment and he came back. He said, it's 65 out there. Wow. But it was raining. So, and it was one of those dreary days where you kind of feel like you never wake up. And I think there was definitely a pressure change, because I definitely dealt with a headache all day yesterday. I woke up with it and I never really got, it would ebb and flow, right? But I never really got rid of it. And then I went to bed last night and I may not have slept well, but I got rid of my headache. So, hey, there's a silver lining there with that. So, like I said, right now, well, the clouds are moving in again. It'd be sure nice if I could do a beach stitch. And it's been a while, obviously, because it's been too cold to sit out by the beach. And when I say beach stitch, for those of you who are new, I live about 10 minutes from the beach. So I go and I bring my stitching and I open up the windows and I listen to the ocean and I sit in my car and I stitch. And it is a lovely, even if it's just, well, sometimes it's only 20 minutes, right? I don't get much stitching done. Sometimes it's 2 hours if I have a nice little chunk of time. And it's just a lovely escape from the day and it's nice and relaxing. So we'll see. The rain is, tomorrow's supposed to be decent, but not as warm. I think it's supposed to be sunny though. And then the rain comes back on Sunday, and then the cold weather comes in. So we will see. I'm trying to think, again, this week, just family support is what the big thing will be this week. And I'm going to just try to get in my stitching as kind of like a mental health sort of thing, you know, you can kind of just, somebody was saying like last night, you know, you go to the stitching and you go there and everything else sometimes just fades away, right? You can just get into the groove of the stitching. Maybe you're watching something, maybe you're listening to something, but everything else kind of fades away and you can just get into the motion of creation. And it's funny because I was different people I follow. You know, there's a lot of mind, body, health things that, you know, I meditate, I do yoga, I try to do yoga. I'm not sure what I do is called yoga anymore because nothing works properly in my spine. But I follow different people and they give different suggestions of things that can help, you know, with relaxation or whatever. And this week, she talked about hobbies and finding something creative to do. And I said, oh, I've already got that. I am all set with that. And it's really true that the creative kind of process can really take you to a place that's a happy place. And so I am definitely going to take full advantage of that this week. And go to that happy place when I get the chance to. So I hope you get a chance to go to your happy place. Remember that you are important, and taking time for yourself each and every day, whether it is 2 minutes or it is 2 hours, whatever you can do and do just for you, please do, because you are just so incredibly important. And many of us do things for everybody else and kind of put ourselves last. And so it's a hard lesson to learn. It took me many years to do, and lots of stress that I probably didn't need, but you know, you live and you learn in life. But I really hope that you can find that balance, to find some peace and some just sense of ease within your crafting, whatever it is, whether it's cross stitch or diamond painting or paper crafting or quilting or whatever it is. Please take some time for yourself. And I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. And until next time, happy stitching.